Hey there everyone, John from Trizity Traveling. Today I continue my avgeekery. Today I am visiting the Johnson Space Center, more correctly the Space Center Houston, which is the public area of the Johnson Space Center. Visiting the museum and looking at the various, space-related artifacts. According to Wikipedia, Space Center Houston is a leading science and space learning center, the official visitor center of NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, and a Smithsonian affiliate. When you drive up to the Space Center, you immediately know you're at someplace special if you're into space and aviation, because there's the 747 with a space shuttle on top. Without further ado, let's get inside the museum and see what they've got. As I mentioned, the space shuttle on top of the 747, that's part of Independence Plaza, and we will get to that later. Plenty of opportunities for selfies. Here's the main plaza area. Multiple standing exhibits. I didn't actually spend too much time in the main plaza. Took a few pictures. Mainly I was focused on the 2 tram tours I ended up taking. But there were some interesting things here. Here are the pictures I mentioned. They have a display of the space shuttle main engine. Pretty impressive, but not as impressive as the Saturn V, which we'll get to later. Rocket Park is accessible via the typical tram tour. This is the last stop on the tram tour that takes you to the vehicle assembly building, or the vehicle mock-up building, I believe. Mercury Redstone rocket. Hard to believe that they put a person on top of that. First astronauts flew on that. But the highlight of the entire visit for me was the Saturn V rocket. I've seen footage of this over the years, but being in the same room with it and seeing how massive it is was quite impressive. It's too big to fit in the frame. Wow. One of my favorite all-time videos is seeing the close-up of the first stage light up in these massive F1 rocket engines. Just love that. Holy crap, this thing is big. Second stage is powered by the J2 engine. And this is a significant artifact because only 3 are remaining in the world. pressure dome of the third stage. Module would have been in there. The Saturn V and Rocket Park are the last stop on the regular tram tour. The other tram tour I was able to take was the Mission Control tram tour. I checked the website the other day. Other than being closed for coronavirus, this tour is no longer available for some reason.
Down at 30, out of 15. Okay,
I believe it's a faithful recreation of the actual Mission Control. I don't know how much of the things other than the consoles are original. Everything looks like kind of updated and modern screen-wise, but still quite impressive to be there in person. So back at the main museum area, this is a mock-up of Skylab, for those of you that were around when Skylab was up. And then you get to actually see some of the original spacecraft. Faith 7, one of the Mercury Redstone capsules, suspended from the ceiling, no touch. Also Gemini 5, also suspended from the ceiling. It's amazing how small these things are, and 2 people fit in this one and 1 in the Mercury. It's just really cramped. I can't imagine being up in space in that for an extended period of time. And then the final Apollo 17 capsule is on display as well. Moon rocks are on display, and kind of a cool thing is you can touch a moon rock. I'm not sure in today's environment that many people would actually want to touch the moon rock after a whole bunch of other people, but I did touch it, so that's kind of cool. And on to Independence Plaza. I mentioned I'm an AV geek, so the 747 tour is super cool. I've seen another space shuttle at the Science Museum in Los Angeles, so this will be my second space shuttle. The shuttle Independence, I think, was just a mock-up for flight test purposes. Never flew in space. Little brake pads for the front tires, I think. This 747 is a former American Airlines 747 that was modified to carry the shuttle. To save weight, I believe they removed most of the interiors and insulation. There's a note about how uncomfortable this aircraft would be to sit in during flight because it was so cold. They talk about how they had to modify the aircraft to carry the shuttle. Added these supporting bulkheads. Rear pressure dome of the 747. I believe the black pipe is fire suppression systems that are installed in order to make this a public exhibit. I don't think that's part of the original aircraft. And finally, the tour of the Shuttle Independence. You get to walk through part of the shuttle bay. Check out the mid-deck. And finally, you get to walk through the flight deck. And for a photographer, they have a gap in the plexiglass so you can actually see the flight instruments. Very cool. Okay, I've just wrapped up my day at Space Center Houston, and that's pretty damn awesome. I have to say that one of the highlights for me, and it may sound a little weird, is you actually get to touch a moon rock. That was one of the highlights for me. They've got it kind of encased in some plastic, and you can kind of rub it. Of course, everybody and their dog has rubbed it, so I don't know if it's actually that's sanitary, but rubbing a moon rock was pretty damn cool. Second highlight for me was probably walking through the 747 that carries the shuttle. That was pretty sweet. And the best thing I saw today, though, was the Saturn V booster and rocket and that whole deal. I knew it was big, but I didn't know how big it actually was. So, regardless of all of my favorites, if you've got a favorite and you've been here, please put it below. I'd love to hear what you thought the highlight of the day was for you when you visited. If you haven't visited and you are into space travel, rockets and airplanes and that kind of good stuff, I think you'll have a good time here. Anyway, it wasn't too crowded. I'm here on a Wednesday, so it's not too busy. Anyway, I hope you liked today's visit to the Johnson Space Center and the Space Center Houston. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, happy travels.